Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. We have a special one today. We've been thinking about it. We haven't done any reviews, any previews, anything of the last couple of games. Of course, it's because of what Arsenal are doing at the moment on the pitches and inspiring us to get together and do this thing. That's part of it. But also, we've been thinking what's good, what's bad, and all. And so we thought we would make an episode out of it, out of Arsenal, kind of go through it in a with a microscope or a magnifying glass and find out what's good, what's bad, what is happening. You can ask us like, who are you to do this? I mean, yes, we are not football managers, we're not all these high media people, but we have been following football for like a long time, like at least 20 years. So there is something that a fan brings in. Fan watches the team a lot more. That's why this is a fan podcast in the first place. Fan watches a team a lot more than all these pundits. Fan watches a lot more than he invests a lot more. He or she or whoever they are, they invest a lot more into the team over the years, especially for someone like who has followed the club for 20 years or so. We have invested a lot of our lives into this game and this team. So this would be more our points. That's why I have Arvind with me today. Arvind,
Hello, how are
because
you?
he's always the positive one, and I would be the negative one, and that kind of counterbalances the whole thing. This would be a very long episode. We are planning to make it into three parts. One would be about. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about it in a bit. What it would be about. But before that, the usual stuff. Thank you for always supporting us. Grateful for all the support, even though we are not very consistent in this. Um, Thanks for all the likes. Keep doing it. Keep supporting us, and please do share with your friends, subscribe, and all those things. So, Arun, we'll start this right. Like to talk about Arsenal in this way, it's not going to be an easy talk. It is definitely not going to be an easy talk. There is going to be a lot of hard things that we would have to discuss. A lot of good things that we might come across that we didn't see, and this is kind of like looking into like holding a mirror against the team and the club in general. So let's split that into three parts. One would be about like the manager. uh, One would be the manager. Let's put the manager and the executives into one bucket, and we'll talk about everything that they have done and they are doing, and then what we expect out of them as fans and stuff. And the second one would be our players. We'll talk about each of them in separate and together, and all the good and bad and all the potential and everything. And then the third one would be stuff that's happening, will happen outside the club that will impact how Arsenal as a club operates, right? So we'll do that in three. To start off,
Mhm.
the big thing would be to talk about the club in itself, as in the manager and the executives, right? I'll start this question with you. Arteta, when he came to this club, when we selected him, when Unai Emery went out, there were a lot of talks about who to pick, and a lot of us were like, "Oh, Henry was in the mix. We wanted Ten Hag, we wanted this, we wanted that, and all those different managers." And then Arteta got a nod. The first moment he came in, he made some claims about the club. Do you remember what those were? Like what he wanted the club to be.
Yeah, he wanted a club to go back to its roots. He was big on the word philosophy. At that point, I didn't know what philosophy, values.
Mm-hmm.
These were all words that I've been associating with Arsenal for a very long time. But again, these are words that Wenger constantly used all the time. And towards the end of Wenger's reign, which was kind of the most recent memory that has been in everybody's minds,
Mm-hmm.
those words kind of seem like, okay, this is just posh talk for somebody who's just coming in. He's gonna buy some time with these funky words that absolutely mean nothing,
Mhm.
and then we'll see how he does on the pitch. If he's not performing, he's just gonna keep blaming on values and philosophy, and he's gonna keep resetting it. But I was honestly quite surprised that there was a little bit of meaning behind those words. And like over the course of time since he was appointed to today, we have heard multiple different interviews, multiple different channels, what those mean, how they come about, and what Arteta was trying to bring to the club when he mentioned those things.
Yep. So the thing is, right, like, yes, the word philosophy, that's where I think we needed to start, because Arsenal as a club kind of lost its philosophy in the middle a little bit. And I think, what is our philosophy? Because for me, I've only known Arsene Wenger's time, even though I still remember the 2002s, 2004s and stuff, because of course they are the glorious years, right? Those are the formative years for me. So I do remember the Arsenal philosophy being, exciting football. Being the 1-0, that one I don't remember. I don't remember the 1-0 to the Arsenal. But I do remember the exciting football Arsenal. I do remember the Arsenal that was nurturing all young talents. I do
Mhm.
remember the Arsenal that was trying to be self-sustaining when everyone around us, like Chelsea, like City, all of them were like making these financial, uh, what could I put that in a delicate way? Like horrendous financial um crimes. When that was happening around, Arsenal was still sticking to its philosophy of self-sustaining, working within a budget and stuff. And then we lost it. And then, like, I'm not blaming Unai Emery for it, but there was no philosophy around that time. And then, like, we were seeing the executive board being like, what's his name, Raul, and
Sanleki.
then yeah, Sandlehi, and then Sven
Yes,
Mislintat, and the whole debacle around it. We kind of went like nothing. And then when Arteta came, it started coming back. Do you think we have got that back?
to a great part, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And let me also kind of quantify what you've just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went from a club that was self-sustaining in the during the times of oil money just coming into the Premier League and trying to outspend, outmuscle financially the other clubs and try to buy their way to trophies, for a lack of a better way of putting it. And Arsenal, because of our financial situation, the ownership situation, and a lot of we had to be a lot of we had to be very frugal when it comes to when it came to spending and buying players. So we were forced to play a lot of youngsters, find the bargain signing of the season, try to get somebody who was nothing and try to make them out to being something, getting rejects from other club and trying to make something out of it. That was where we were. We weren't an inherently a club that constantly kept giving youngsters a chance because we loved giving youngsters a chance. We gave youngsters a chance because there was no other way to go. Either give youngsters a chance or field like five players who are above 25. So I think I want to quantify it. Now, fast forward Emery's time, we had different people pulling things in different directions. There was a lot of personal agendas in the works. Agent executive relationships kind of muddied the waters greatly, and that obviously did not end well for everybody involved. The ownership, I think, for all the criticism they've endured all throughout, ever since the Cronkies became the sole owners of Arsenal Football Club, they have been willing and ready to invest, make Arsenal a good football club, not treated just as another business. And I know a little bit about Kroenke Sports Enterprises, all the various clubs they own in the United States. I follow them very closely. So it's not just and they're not the kind of owners who just treat a club like a business and forget about it. It's not just a pump and dump scheme. So they have been heavily invested with Arsenal and they're trying to build Arsenal to the next level. Now, in our situation here, we're trying to. look at what Wenger did, take the best parts out of that, and also fill the gaps of not what Wenger did that wasn't working. We were always a team that was going all out attack under Wenger. It didn't matter
Okay,
what the
okay.
situation was.
Wait. Before that. So there are like now when you are mentioning, I can see that there are different types of philosophy, right? Like when we talk about a club, it's not like everything is one linked to one. Like
Hmm.
one is the transfer policy. That is a philosophy of how financially a club needs to be done. That would be the financial philosophy that we were talking about, which I think we would have to come back to later. But then like
Hmm.
there is the on pitch philosophy, right? Like what is our on-pitch philosophy? And that's where you were going to about like all in and all out. That's where I wanted to start this thing too, right? Because right now, currently in this, while we are recording this, we have won one game in the last seven, one in
Hmm.
last seven, and have three consecutive losses. Wenger used to say like, don't let the team go on a third loss. Always arrest the flow before the third loss. But
Hmm.
we have come to the third loss. So the on pitch thing is under the limelight right now. The focus is on all the on pitch thing. So
Hmm.
let's talk about the on pitch philosophy and the strategy around it. What Arteta started and what is he trying to build right now. We always talk about, oh, he's trying to build about Manchester City type of play, right?
Hmm.
So if you can explain, because that's all like I can, as a fan, I could see my eye test, I know where my players move, right? Like when it is Arsenal's our scene's Arsenal, that time I know where my players would be. Like when Jack Wilshere makes a pass, I know who would be in front of him and who would be behind him. But the same way now, when Saka moves somewhere to receive a ball, I know who's going to move where, like where Ben White would be moving, where Odegaard
Hmm.
would be moving. But I will not be able to put that into words. Try to explain that half spaces, try to explain that 18 grid thing. That is something that's difficult for me to explain. So probably you can like explain that a little bit.
I'll try and see if I can do justice. So, the footballing philosophy that Arteta got in is very heavily predicated on building out the back. So we saw this very distinctly in terms of the signings that he made. Initially, it was heavily focused on defense, getting the right players in the right positions. I think one of our first 50 million plus signing for Arteta was Ben White. And from building from there, that is where you kind of saw what Arteta's vision was, what he was trying to do. He tried to do a lot of things with the resources he had in terms of trying to use a misfit Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back when Ainsley Maitland-Niles wanted to play in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are some of the things that we saw Arteta do initially.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole philosophy of it was predicated upon hold the ball, keep the ball away from the opponents, build out from the back, and create a chance. End up finish the chance if that's where it should end at. But not all chances, come to a goal. There is obviously you gotta respect the opponent defenses. You try to break them down slowly inch by inch. So it's a 90-minute game. You take it slow. At the same time, you also make sure if you lose the ball, you come back, you track back, you defend as a team, you attack as a team.
Yeah, that
So.
that is like every team that wants to do, right? Like the structure which he put together. When he says trust the process, he's asking his players to do certain things that is based on a very rigid structure. At least that's what it looks to me, right? Like that's why Mesut Ozil was booted out of the team. That's why Aubameyang was booted out of the team because they
Oh,
cannot.
Abba's a
And,
different reason, but
okay,
okay.
yeah, but okay, leave like leave. Then Tierney was booted out of the team because he doesn't fit that structure. We know a
Hmm.
lot of players who were sent out of the team because they are not able to fit to that structure. So, like for me, I know that there is like three lines or four lines, like three lines of vertical, four lines of vertical or horizontal, whatever. And then there is like three players along the horizontal lines at the same time two players vertical, like all those things. I can understand it. Can you explain that with this thing a little bit?
So you're looking at, I think we also saw this in one of the all or nothing videos too. So
Mhm.
you're looking at zones. The pitch, he divided that into, I think, 5 by 4 zones,
Yeah.
20 zones across the pitch.
Mhm.
And one player each player is responsible for the zone that he is in and assisting with the zones around him. So for
Mhm.
example, if you take Martinelli,
Mhm.
he is responsible for the zones around him and the zone he is in. And that does not mean it's just those 5 or 6 zones that he's going to be playing in. He's going to be going up and down this pitch, and whichever part of the pitch he is in, he is going
Mhm.
to be responsible for his zone and the zones around him. So that is kind of the part where you kind of see these weird formations that look like an inverted pyramid, or
Mhm.
sometimes they look like you're stacking the box with few players. And then there is like this one Thomas Partey that would be sometimes controlling the midfield, trying to break up transitions, moving here and there. So that was the part that you saw when we first signed Partey about 3 years ago, which feels like a lifetime ago at this point. And you wanted specific people doing specific jobs. So let's take Martinelli again. His job is to hold the width, and we saw this in Pep's Barcelona teams when Thierry Henry first
Yep.
moved there. He would never touch the ball. He would just be standing there waiting for the opportune time to go and poach a goal. That's
Mhm.
exactly what Martinelli does. He holds width the moment the entire defense shifts one way where the ball is being played here, you see Odegaard or Saka or White try to play Martinelli when the whole defense again shifts the other way. And that's when somebody like Odegaard or Saka would then cut in, make the run to the box, where where Martinelli would deliver the ball and it tries to end up in a goal scoring opportunity. The other part where somebody like Havertz or previously Shaka would then try to go and occupy the space that was just left open by Martinelli because he's cutting in or trying to go out. And this is how you kind of pull defenders out. So this is what the attack looks like. Now, obviously, you see a lot of positional changes that keep happening here with Saka going in, Odegaard going out, Havertz going out, Martinelli going in. When I say Havertz, previously it was Saka, then before that it was somebody else, all of that. But what this tells you is Martinelli shouldn't just be responsible for playing along this wide line on the left. He should be able to play along the center. He should be able to play along this right center mid and along the right wing as well if needed to when Saka and Martinelli swap wings.
Mhm.
See, you are looking at a very holistic approach where each player is responsible for a lot of different things. When we see, or when we hear rather Arteta shouting these random things, yabby, 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 yabby in the sideline, we don't really see what he's doing, but he knows exactly where the ball is going to be played across on a transition, and he's trying to get Gabriel Martinelli's attention to come back, to track back, etc. So that
So
is
wait.
unique.
That's great. But the thing is, it's not unique, right? The thing is, Pep is the pioneer for this, or he might not have invented this, but he is known to use this in such a way. And the thing
For
that
sure.
he like, and the thing that he says about this whole situation is the whole idea of having this interplay that you were explaining right now about Havertz, Martinelli, Jesus, Saka, and Odegaard and whoever overlaps, right? Like sometimes Rice makes that run, Zinchenko is somewhere around there, or White makes that overlap. The whole idea of that interpositional transition, Pep puts it that it's the whole idea is not to create a chance, but to disorganize the opponent's defense to create a chance. So the
Oh
whole
yeah.
idea is to disorganize it. That's why that much movement is needed. That's why that much positional play is needed. But after seeing all these things, this is all good on paper. This is all good on, when things work well. But last 7 games, let's take, for example, this hasn't worked at all. We have created chance after chance after chance. It's not a conversion thing. It's not a conversion thing. And I will get to that a little bit. But teams kind of understand where these movements are. are we becoming predictable in these moments, in these patterns? Are we becoming predictable that the whole idea of disorganizing this defense is bringing in that unpredictability in the position play? But
I,
becoming predictable, has it hurt our chances?
I think you have two different things in your question. You say we are creating chance after chance after chance, and you
Okay.
say we are not, we are getting predictable. If we are getting predictable, we won't be able to create chance after chance after chance. We will be stuck like the Fulham game, with trying to just shift the ball from side to side when KT cross and try to play for a goal is all we had during the Willian era.
I,
Uh,
I know you will say this. That's why I have come up with the numbers, right? Like till now we have 450 chances created. That
mhm,
is second in the league.
mhm.
Okay, 450 chances created. But do you know what's our XG?
Uh, Let me see if I can
It's
guess.
36.4. That is
Hmm.
sixth in the league.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Okay, XG is 36.4, which is closer to what we have right now. What is the
Okay.
goals we have scored for? Right, so we are
Hmm.
performing to our XG, which means we are not missing a lot of chances. Just that our chances that was created were not good enough.
That's not true. You have the way you have to look at it is slightly different. So we've been performing in a certain way for the last for the first about 16 or 17 games until mid of December. And up until that point, if you see, we've been overperforming our XG. We
Yeah.
were actually overperforming our XG. The last 7 games, like one in the Premier League, I'm sorry, one in the FA Cup and the rest in the Premier League, is where we really kind of lost our footing in terms of the XG and the actual number of scored goals kind of caught up together. Is that situation? We in the last 5 Premier League games after the Brighton game, we have a non-penalty XG of about 6 point something, 6.42, I think, and we have scored one goal.
Okay, so I'll
So.
do a counterpoint to that. What you are saying is it makes sense until you see the other side of it, which is we have 11 set piece goals, and we know
Mhm.
how much of a XG mover set piece goals are. Point
Okay.
0.7 for a set piece goal, right? Like for a penalty, it's 0.7.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
And
0.9 for
0.9,
penalties.
oh yeah, 0.9 to 1. That's where the penalty is, and 0.7 for a set piece goal, right? So that is a
Ye-
very big mover. And 11 set piece goal. Our open play goal is just 18. 18 open play goals. So that means that our XG is heavily defined or heavily influenced by the set piece too.
Why is that a problem?
It's that what I'm saying is then we are not creating chances as you are mentioning, like what do you call it?
Why
Uh,
isn't set piece considered a chance? Set piece is a chance. Why do players want to get free kicks? Because it's a set piece. Why do you send your defenders all the way up the pitch when there is a set piece? Because it's a chance, it's a goal scoring opportunity. There are these facets of the game, and expecting you can as a fan, we can expect our team to be the number one stat making in every single facet of the game. But not always does that happen that way. There are some moments where you may not be the number one in some statistical category, but where you are on the table is what matters.
But that's the thing, right? Like it's not some random statistical category. Like open play goals is like why did our team work last season? Is because we that's also part of Arteta's on pitch philosophy, right? Like where the goals is shared between players. Like more like there is no longer RVP situation where he just has a blinder of a season, or there is no longer a Sanchez situation where he scores all our goals, right?
Mhm.
That's the idea that Arteta has come up with. That's the philosophy that Manchester City did their bread and butter until they got Haaland into it, right?
But right,
So
go ahead.
open play goals, we have 18 open play goals, 18, 1-8.
So last season we had 71 point. I'm just talking about Premier League.
Okay,
71.9 XG. Let's
okay,
assume 72 XGs. We scored 84 goals in the Premier League.
yes.
it doesn't matter where your goals come from, where they don't come from. We were second in the league, Premier League, only behind City for number of goals scored,
Mhm,
and they had like a goal scoring machine in Haaland.
mhm,
So at the end of the day, we were separated, I think, by 4 points or 5 points from the
mhm,
top, and that's what matters at the end of the day. What you create, what you don't create, it really does not. Nobody really cares. Like 2015-16, Leicester City, who even thought what their XG would be at the beginning of the season? Who cares right now what their XG was at the end of the season? The only thing that matters is that they kept taking these 1-0 wins throughout or from a big part of the season that helped them get to where they were at the end of the season. So that is, I think, the more important statistical category than what we are seemingly missing at the moment. Also, the missing part is only been magnified by recent results. I don't think this is a problem l- big picture. This is a problem microscopically based on the recent results. We were talking about XGs and goals not being created, but this was not a big problem until the Brighton 2-0 win. This has been manufactured now that it is not working in our favor anymore. That's all that I want to say about that piece.
okay,
Yeah, there are reasons why you could have one way, you could have the other way. It doesn't really matter as long as the results keep coming. Right now, they are not, so it's a problem.
okay. I mean, I still don't believe that that is something that we can push out saying like, oh, it's not a problem. But I will. I mean, there will be more discussions around it in future. So we will talk about it a little bit, but in future. But before we move on, right? Like we do have the possession stat and all those other stuff. And the major thing that I wanted to touch upon is this need for a striker, right? That is something that we have been talking about a lot, and we are hearing news of all the Arsenal fans right now. Even I think what's his name? Righty tweeted something like we need a killer now or
Killer.
something, right? So everyone is looking at the striker position. For me, the problem with how a lot of media outlets and how all the pundits who see it and how I see it as a fan who has been following Arsenal is that I see that Arteta doesn't want specific positional players. He wants midfielders. That's why we went for Raya because he is a midfielder goalkeeper. Zinchenko is a midfielder fullback. Every one of those players, Jesus is a midfielder striker. That's what he's looking for. A player who could play as a midfielder in theory. In that case, I don't see a striker coming in, and I don't see that. Even though I see that it might work in our favor, I don't see that happening.
So I think we have to again qualify that a little bit more. When you say Arteta doesn't want that, we placed the 90 million pound bid 2 years ago for Dusan Vlahovic. Same time.
I mean,
Uh,
we don't know if that happened.
no, it did. It definitely did happen, and we did not get him because he wanted to go to Juventus, and they had a separate dealing behind the scenes. We didn't. Different story, but we did prioritize a striker. And when we got Jesus last year, we thought we were getting an out and out goal scoring striker. He is, well, he started his career that way, but jury's still out on how it is going at the moment. He underperformed his XG last year. He's underperformed. He's statistically he is meeting his XG this year, but he's missed a lot of games and he's missed
See,
a lot of chances
the
as well.
problem is also okay. Let me stop you right there, right? Like the problem is also we are saying yes, he's meeting his XG, but his XG is not higher. His
Exactly, yeah.
XG is lower. And meeting that is not a big deal.
100%. Yes, as
He's
a
having an
striker
XG of like 3 or 4. That's not enough for a striker for
in the
Arsenal's
Premier
caliber.
League, nope, 100% yes. You look at Gabriel Jesus, he's got 5 goals and his XG is 4.1. So I'm sorry, that's Eddie Nketiah. He's
No.
3 goals with an XG of 4.8. So he's underperforming his XG, and he is not the striker, at least this season, that we thought we were getting for 45 million when he came in last season. You still remember the goal against Bournemouth that he created, the goal against Leicester that he scored. Those are the things that you thought you were getting, but that's not there at the moment. It's not there at the moment for a lot of people. Front line, everybody speaking together, and this is a bigger problem for, like,
I mean,
think about this.
we will talk about those things in the player side of things.
Yeah,
But from play perspective, from a pitch strategy perspective, do you agree that we might not get a striker? And even if we get a striker, we might not get a striker. Let's say, for example, Tony coming in might not move the needle much,
at this point, I
especially
don't. Yeah,
especially with the way how we have built our team and how we are playing. And I'm not talking about the form, but like usual way of playing, how you were explaining. I don't see a striker coming in and making that change.
I don't think we are getting a striker to begin with. And number two, if we get a striker, it has to be an upgrade over Eddie and Jesus. You can't just replace like for like one person in the team. It cannot be addition by addition. It has to be addition by subtraction.
I mean, at this point, even Gabriel Magalhaes playing ahead of these two might score more goals, is what I feel about it. But that's a different thing.
We can try out Jesus in defense. Maybe we can stop goals from going in the way he's trying to do in playing number 9. It's a little. At first, I don't think we're getting a striker this year, and this is my personal viewpoint. Like, you have a striker in Eddie Nketiah who was selected for his first ever England call-up earlier this season. It's not by fluke. It's not by chance that he gets selected. It's not by chance he's the leading scorer under 20s for under 21 for England. He has something. He has potential. And the fact that he's not gotten a full season of football ever, it's just you're holding it back tremendously. Your striker solution right now isn't working with Jesus. I think Eddie should be given a considerable run of games. Let him play himself into form, and I'm pretty sure you're going to see the striker we're looking for was already there in our club.
I mean that's a big discussion that I don't want to get it right now, because that is something that I don't see the way you see it. I don't see that as something that Arsenal as a football club is not responsible for making a player. Arsenal as a football club for me is responsible for being successful, bringing in more trophies, making fans like me happy. And I don't care if it is Eddie.
Oh,
I don't care if it is anyone.
if there was an Erling Haaland type of player right now in our club, I wouldn't care if Eddie Nketiah got his chance or not. I wouldn't even care if he was in our club. The fact that we do not have an Erling Haaland type player in our squad right now is why I am of the firm opinion that Eddie Nketiah should be allowed to fill that void in the interim.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think we would have to move from the playing style, unless you have something to add on. But we would have
spoken about it enough.
Yeah, I think we would have to move on about like other things in the club in a minute. I mean, there are more stuff to talk about in on pitch stuff, but I think it would be better if we talk about like passing and movement and stuff with players discussion, because that would make more sense. How a certain player moves versus how a certain other player moves, how a certain player passes versus how that affects something else. So I think that we would talk in the players section, which would be another episode. But um, continuing on the discussion around Arteta, right? Like that's where like I think the next question that's like apart from the pitch, I don't think there is a lot of questions about Arteta's philosophy on the pitch, apart from like it being static from time to time, and the donut of sadness of yesteryears. Apart from that, I don't think there is a lot of concern about how we play an Arteta system a lot. But there is a big concern around one thing, which is his player handling. At least for me, it is. Because I feel that he is ruthless in some cases, but he's also like playing a lot of favoritism in a lot more. At least that's how I see it. And a lot of us also see it. It might also come from a place where you might have your own preferences with certain players, right? You might see certain things with certain players, but not see certain things with certain players. Especially because of now it's a hot topic because of the signings that he made last season, because it's all like now it's all on the manager, right? Player handling side of it has always had me scratching my head. I can see it when it is Ozil. I can see it when it is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I can see it even when it is, you know, someone like Tierney. But I cannot see it when it is Emil Smith-Rowe, what is happening around him. I cannot
Okay.
see the Ramsdale Raya decision. So if there is, okay, let's start with the Ramsdale Raya decision, right? Like, I don't see Raya being a bigger upgrade, or for me, okay, let me put it this way. I see Raya as a bigger upgrade in a skill that is not a primary skill of the goalkeeper, but in the skill that is the primary skill of the goalkeeper, which is saving goals. I see him as D grade. What is that? That's the word, right? Like the opposite of upgrade is degrade, whatever.
Downgrade.
Downgrade. Yeah, downgrade. Yeah, so I see him as a downgrade in the goalkeeper's primary skill set, which is saving goals. And if you don't believe me, I know you are going to counter that. So I'm going to throw a stat at you because that kind of like, I mean, of course, I'm going to throw a stat that's going to side on my view of things, right? On the last 18 shots that we have faced, we have conceded 10 goals.
And there's another stat that will probably speak to your side of the things, where when there has been more than one shot on target in a Premier League game, Raya has not kept a clean sheet.
Yes.
So again, fair points, fair criticism on Raya. Does Raya have to improve? Absolutely yes. Can Raya improve? Again, absolutely yes. There was one statement I thought it was very poignant when you phrased it, that the number one trait of a goalkeeper is to save goals. 100% yes. Number one trait is that the saving goals part does not just come from shots at a goalkeeper. The saving goals part comes from goalkeeper's ability to sweep, goalkeeper's ability to come out of his line and collect the ball, prevent crosses, and of course, shot stopping. So there are 2 out of 3 boxes that Raya ticks, and there are 2 out of 3 boxes that Ramsdale ticks. They are not the same boxes. Then
yes, but the thing is, a game of football is won not by maintaining position, not by making a very good pass. A game of football is won by the number of goals. 15 shots faced, 8 goals conceded, and among which one of the shots faced is the penalty he saved. So 15 shots faced, or let's say 14 shots faced for 8 goals conceded is not a goalkeeper. Is not enough for a goalkeeper. I mean, like that's what my problem is. And that is the primary, like that is why did we lose against Aston Villa? Not because we did not pass well, not because we didn't create well. We lost because they put a ball into our net.
And we didn't.
Yes,
put
we
a
didn't.
ball into their net.
We didn't. That's a different. Even if we didn't put a ball into their net, if they didn't put a ball into their net, we wouldn't have lost that game. We would have had a draw.
You're saying the reason the ball went into the net was because of Raya's poor goalkeeping?
No, I'm not saying in that game that was the reason. I'm just saying that that's the most important job of a goalkeeper. So it's not that 2 boxes Ramsdale tick and 2 boxes Raya tick. It's which boxes that Ramsdale ticks and which boxes that Raya ticks. And the box that Ramsdale ticks happen to be the primary job of a goalkeeper, which Raya is not ticking.
Okay, so
and I don't understand, and I'm not talking about like I'm not trying to compare the players here. I'm talking about what the manager prioritizes, right? What is his thought process in picking these players? You have a player who does the primary job of a goalkeeper or primary job of that position, and he's not picked over another goalkeeper or another player who doesn't do the primary job of that position, but does something which is completely different, but really good at that or whatever it is, but he does something different. So my concern is, why is that the manager's way of thinking? Or I don't see that. I don't understand that.
So I don't have an answer to why the manager thinks that way. My reading of Raya is slightly different when you say the number one trait of a goalkeeper is shot stopping. It's not just one, it's probably 1A. There's 1B, 1C, 1D. There are multiple different things. Probably a little more important than the others, sure. But that doesn't mean the
That means
others are
it's
not
one. 1A is
not
one when you
so
consider 1B as two. That's what I'm saying.
yesterday's game, right? With Fulham. I'm sorry, Fulham, Liverpool. The
Mhm.
first goal we conceded, Ramsdale was slow to come off his line to punch the ball. If Ramsdale was quicker, he would have gotten to the ball before Kivior did. I don't know if Kivior was got a call to let the ball go and he was trying to pull out and he couldn't pull out in time because Kivior looked like he was in no position to head the ball. He was he looked completely off.
It's
But
a
the
own goal where you had one Liverpool player and five Arsenal players there.
right.
One,
So
it's even if Ramsdale misses that, that's not a goal if Kivior doesn't touch it.
no, it's not. But the fact
So
that
so
Ramsdale was
the thing
so
is, it's not a short stop, that opportunity that was missed.
it
That's
was
what
a
I'm trying to make.
the,
It's
the point that I'm trying to make is not just a short stopping opportunity that you need to stop. The opportunities that you need to stop sometimes happen before a shot happens.
so that's the thing, right? Like 8 goals conceded. How many goals have Arsenal conceded this season?
Uh, 80, 20, 23, I think. Uh,
So Arsenal have conceded 17 goals this season.
in the
Oh no,
Premier
no,
League, that's
no, no,
it?
no,
No.
sorry, 20 goals this season. 20
Yeah.
goals this season. Okay. 20 goals this season, out of which 8 is a huge number. In the 15 shots faced, 8 is a huge number of the 20 goals that we have conceded. And I'm
Okay.
saying that 8 goals is a bigger number that needs to be worried about goalkeeper situation than the other 12.
The fact that you're putting all 8 goals on the goalkeeper situation,
I'm not saying that all goals are his problem.
okay, then so
I'm just saying that
let's just take Raya's problem. We're talking about Raya. We'll focus on the goals that are Raya's problem.
yes.
Okay, so
No, no, no. So the point is here, we're not talking about Raya or Ramsdale.
fair.
My reasoning is, why does the manager choose? For me, that 8 goals is much more important than the other 12 goals conceded, because the other 12 goals could have been a lot of different things. Like you said, something that someone didn't come out, he didn't come out to punch the ball, there could be a mistake, there could be an own goal, there could be a lot of reasons, right? There could be
Mhm.
penalties, there could be like direct free kicks, free goals, and all those things, referee mistakes, and all those things, right? So 12 goals for all that combined versus 8 goals for the shots faced. So I am saying the manager should be looking at, okay, shots faced is giving us these goals, no matter if it is the other side of it, if it is like, if it is who is the best shot stopper, that's the question,
I,
right? Like
it doesn't matter. The best shot stopper is not going to stop that Salah goal against
no,
when
of
we
course
played
he's
Liverpool.
not, of course he's
Yeah.
not,
So hang on, hang on. Let me finish. Let me finish. The first goal against West Ham, which was basically a comedy of errors, where Zinchenko formed a human wall to allow an easy goal to be scored. If the Aston Villa goal where what's his name McGinn had like acres of space inside the box where you probably could buy a house inside our
See,
defensive D.
again, wait. I'm not going through the process of which is a good goal, which is not a goal. I'm
Not
just
the point.
no.
The point
I
I'm trying to make is let me finish my point.
okay.
You're talking about the 8 goals, but not you're attributing all 8 of them to a single player. The 8 of them can be attributed to one single player if that single player is at fault for conceding every single goal. Out of the 8 goals, there are two. Luton Town scored 3 goals, but there are 2 goals that Luton Town scored where Raya was at fault.
So
The
wait. Okay, so that's not what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is when I look at making a decision, right? I'm looking at making the best possible decision for this
Mhm.
to work, right? When I'm looking at a defense and I'm seeing, okay, we have faced 15 shots and 8 we have conceded. Okay. What I'm looking at each position, let's say even if I go through the defense as a whole unit, what I'm looking there is, okay, am I having the best solution to solving that short facing situation in the center back position, but with a player or with a strategy? And am I doing the same when I do that across the pitch? And when I come to the goalkeeping situation, like okay, shots faced versus goals conceded is higher. So what is the criteria that should be responsible or that should be considered as the highest thing to mitigate this problem is short stopping. And I'm saying when it comes to that situation, short stopping, Ramsdale is a higher short stopper, and I would have made that is my logical answer to that. And I'm not seeing that logical answer arriving from the manager. And that has happened all over the pitch. The same way we could talk about Havertz, the same way we could talk about Willian of the old age. The same way we could talk about like a lot of people in a lot of positions. That is the favoritism that I'm worried about.
Okay, so if
It's
we
not
are,
Raya. I'm
yeah,
just making it as an example.
for the record, I don't hate Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale is a really good player. Who, when Raya was brought in, I thought he was an upgrade to Ramsdale. His shot stopping was quite good when he had a uh, less than inferior defensive line in front of him in Brentford. He was still doing a really good job. I thought that would only go better when he had Saliba and Gabriel playing in front of him. That's not been the case. I'll grant you that shot stopping has not been Raya's forte in this half season with Arsenal. That said, I'm not writing that off. The Raya that I saw in Brentford has the ability to stop the ball. So I'm not going to completely say, okay, Raya 6 months has not been a great upgrade over Ramsdale, so I'm just going to write him off.
No,
That's the
no.
same
I,
exact logic we
see,
used for
see,
Granit Xhaka.
see. I'm not saying right of players. I'm saying that there is no solutions arrived. Let me put the other situation. Like I don't want to go this on a player thing, right? Like my problem is that like a problem arises and I see a solution in the team, and I'm not like, and I'm
So your
caveating.
solution is Ramsdale back in
No.
place of
I'm
Raya.
I'm 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 caveating this with I'm not a manager. I'm talking purely from a fan perspective who has seen his team, and I'm also like putting a thing there like it's my proud thing to say, right? Like there is no one better in the world. That's how I think. There is no one better in the world than me who wants Arsenal to win. That's how I feel,
Mhm.
right? Like every fan feels like it. So there is
Of
no
course,
other reason for me to come up with the solution that I'm coming up with, right? Like when I'm
which
saying
is
ESR needs to be on the pitch or something, or this player needs to be, I don't even want to put like Ramsdale, Raya, ESR, all those names on. Like I'm just saying when I feel this player is not making my team play better, when I'm saying this player might solve this problem, I'm coming from a place where I think I am the best person in this planet who wants his team to play the best way possible, to win the best way possible. And every fan will feel the same way.
okay.
So that's where my problem is that I see a lot of favoritism in Arteta, which I am not able to let go of.
So
When he's
that part I get. Like he has a set 11. He wants to keep playing the same people over and over. That part I completely get. That is in fact a kind of a you can almost call it a break away from the Pep ideology where you didn't really know the Pep roulette, what was going to spin and who was going to play that week. Apart from Ederson, nobody was guaranteed a start. So that part I will give, I completely understand. I don't honestly have an answer to that either. I thought he stuck with Martinelli for 2 or 3 games more than he should have when Martinelli's form kind of took a nosedive. The reason why Zinchenko kept playing again and again in spite of his mistakes, I don't understand that. When you ask me about ESR, when you mention about ESR rather, ESR this season he's been playing the number 8 role, and the number 8 role we just spent 65 million to fill that number 8 role.
But that number 8 role isn't working with Havertz.
I mean, it's
Not in all games. Like
exactly.
when you need
That's
a
key.
change, that is where my second thing was I was leading to, right? Like substitutions. The way Arteta does substitutions is a problem for me. Like even Liverpool game, let's take that for example, the last one, FA Cup game. Klopp made a change in the 68th minute.
Mm-hmm.
When did our first change happen? 82nd minute.
No, I think it was before that.
When did Nketiah come in? I think 82nd minute or something.
There was another substitute before Eddie.
Jorginho for no.
Martinelli, Nelson.
Yeah.
Martinelli came on 62nd minute.
Yeah. Okay, that is fine. That is a regular substitution. There is nothing like we are not trying to catch a game. That's what my worry is. My problem with the substitutions are like when you say ESR or when you are talking about it, why I brought that up.
What game are we So hang on, time out. I have to definitely address that.
Okay.
Up until 75 minutes, we were the team on the front foot.
No, we were the team on front foot till halftime. When Klopp made that change, we were not the team on front foot.
They were playing better, but we were creating chances. We had 18 shots on goal. I think 11 on goal at halftime. We had 7 goals after. 7 shots on goal after.
Yes,
Liverpool had six shots.
Look at the shots we had after Liverpool made the change. That's what I'm saying.
Liverpool aren't a team. Liverpool right now, they are the most informed team in Europe. Well, Bayer Leverkusen maybe, but Liverpool's right up there.
They played a 20-year-old and 18-year-old. So the Liverpool game is not what we are reviewing.
Let me finish my point, please. Let me finish my point.
Okay.
I have a train of thought and I'm not able to complete it.
Okay, go ahead.
So you have a team that is playing well, that is working, that is not able to finish. So we're creating chances. We're knocking on the door again and again. We're not able to finish. In this moment, I don't want to change something that is working in terms of creating chances because I believe the people who are playing there up front are going to eventually finish a chance. So if that's not happening, then you seek to make a change. 59th minute was Liverpool's change, 62nd minute was Arsenal's change. And I thought that was an attacking substitution with Martinelli in place of Reece Nelson. And I thought Martinelli did really well. Where you probably have a leg to stand on is Eddie Nketiah came after the goal was scored. By that goal getting scored, it was against the run of play. It was not Liverpool attacking, and eventually scoring.
So the where I am trying to make the point is not that Eddie Nketiah came on at 82nd minute or that. You are giving the players lesser chance to succeed when things are not happening. Like look at when Smith Rowe gets his chance in everything. Look at when Trossard, when he comes off bench, he's getting less than 8 minutes. He's getting less than 10 minutes of game time every game.
When Trossard started the 2 games against West Ham and Fulham.
Yes, but that's the thing. Like what I'm talking about is bench players not getting enough minutes. It's not about like who starts, who doesn't start. It's about the bench players getting less than 10 minutes to make an impact. Remember Nelson's game, that one where he comes in and scores those bangers to make the change. And remember that game where what's his name, Vieira comes in and does the banger again. all these, we are expecting the same thing, but like impact players, we want them to have an impact in less than 10 minutes. That is not good enough to judge a player. And the other
Oh,
thing, and
I-
that's where my concern is. Like, is Arteta giving enough time for a squad to develop as a squad?
is Arteta giving enough time for a squad to develop as a squad? I think yes. Like, what is the fact that ESR is not getting game time is probably the only gripe that you can have, and I share that gripe with you. Who else should start over who?
No, there is no start. I'm not talking about the start.
So
There is
no,
no
but
there is no way for a player. Like, remember the season where ESR saved Arteta's job, or at least for me it is,
oh
right?
yeah, 2020, 21.
Right after that season, after that game, remember like how much we did
Stamford Bridge
not
Boxing Day,
we didn't
2020.
we were seeing both ESR and Martinelli fighting for that spot every game. Remember that?
Hmm.
Like, we were
Yes.
like, okay, Martinelli was performing great right now. Oh my God, ESR comes in as a sub and he performs great. Next game, Martinelli comes in as a sub. Why were they able to do that? Because they were getting 15, 20 minutes of game time. They now no one can take the shirt off someone's back in this team, the starting 11. Like, there is the talk about like someone coming in and taking the shirt off someone's back. There is no one that can do that because they're not getting enough time. And that is on Arteta, especially when the Premier League and the league has come, like the whole world has come together to make sure that players are not getting hurt. They have given us 5 subs. Why is there a 5 sub? Because you could sub early, not run players to the ground. Look at Saka, he's been run to the ground. Look at White, I think he's playing with an injury. So I'm just saying that players are run to the ground because we are not making, it's not about like switching them. It's not about giving them a start. It's about giving the players enough time in a game to make that impact or take someone else's shirt, to say this.
I don't think Saka's being run to the ground. This is a discussion we'll probably have for
Oh yeah,
ages. I
for
think it's
play no no for players we will talk about that later. But what
yeah.
I'm saying is like impact players or subs are not allowed the opportunity to impact or have that like run at a game where they could be an impactful sub.
See, your problem is that they're not getting at least 30 minutes each game.
15 minutes or some game, like even a dead rubber, we are not getting a player to come in and play.
What is the dead rubber in the last 20 games? Pick out one dead rubber.
Okay, so if even if it is not dead rubber, I'm just going back, right? Like any game, you're not getting 10, 15 minutes of anything out of anyone. That's the problem.
And 10, 15 minutes is that enough? Do you think so? The point is 10, 15 minutes isn't enough, but then they should be able to start the game. I'm not sure I understand this question at all.
No, 10, 15 minutes, more than 15 minutes or 10 minutes need to be given to a player for them
Okay.
to actually do an impact or to be assessed. If
Oh,
you're
fair.
giving less than that, how are we going to assess a player?
Okay, that's a fair point. But why are we assessing Emil Smith Rowe here, for example? We know he's got quality.
Would you start Emil Smith Rowe ahead of Havertz?
Germany does, England doesn't. What does that tell you?
What do you mean? Germany does, England doesn't.
Germany starts a Kai Havertz. England squad does not have Emil Smith Rowe.
That's not a direct point there.
No,
Germany
but
played Kai Havertz in left back. It's
and Germany let him play for goalkeeper for all I care. But there is a reason why a country that is got basically a league with 20 teams in the first division, 20 teams in the second division, gets a German player who plays for a club in England, while he's not seemingly scoring at all, he's not fulfilling his potential, so to speak. He starts over Emil Smith Rowe, who's had a stellar season in 2020-21. He was injured for the most part of last season, and
yes.
he's back now, but he's not gotten a chance yet. There is a reason why that happens because of the quality that Kai
So-
Havertz possesses.
No, it's also because of the number of minutes that Kai Havertz plays. You said the same thing. A
So-
player who had a stellar 2021-22 season got a chance to play the teen or whatever, the under 20s, whatever,
20s, 21s.
and Euros, and he was a stellar performance there. He was a
Oh, yeah,
stellar
huh?
performer there. And the thing
Right.
is, he is not able to make that jump because he's not getting the minutes. And he's not getting the minutes because he might not be a starter right now, but he is not given an opportunity to try to become the starter. I'm not saying that, oh, now Emil Smith-Rowe should become a starter. I'm saying that Emil Smith-Rowe is not getting enough opportunity to become a starter.
Fair. Okay, that's a fair criticism. And
that is on Arteta. That is my concern.
Right. And the organic next question that comes about is, who do you replace Emil Smith-Rowe with in the middle of a game? You can't take
Kai
Odegaard.
Havertz.
He's
Kai
and
Havertz.
so then the average height in your front line drops massively. Okay, there is a reason why we were able to score the goal against Man City. There was a reason why we were able to score the goal, I think 2 games later after Man City. I don't remember that game, but we were able to score that. I think it was Brentford. Brentford, where Kai Havertz scores in the back post. These are things you need a player with height. There is a physical presence.
I'm not talking about specific situations, specific players.
But specific situations define the game.
No,
The
I'm
1-0
just saying,
win against Brentford was because of a specific situation.
I
The
am-
1-0 win against Man City was because of a specific situation.
But what I am talking about is that it's not getting enough minutes for the substitutes. Not talking about like
That's fine.
you were backing Nketiah.
You're going back to your original point of not getting enough minutes. But then when you came with, you have to give ESR more minutes at the expense of Kai Havertz, is where I disagree, because ESR.
No, I'm not saying ESR should get more minutes over Kai Havertz. I'm saying ESR should get enough minutes to justify whether he has to get minutes ahead of Kai Havertz or not.
So who do you take out in a game situation? I'm
asking for ESR to get more minutes as a sub. And 60th minute, substitute Kai Havertz, or 60th or 70th minute, substitute someone with ESR. Not that like other way around. I'm not saying like, oh, start ESR, make another substitution. No, I'm saying start whoever it is. Start whoever is the best person. But give more minutes for ESR. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, then let's also talk about the other bench players. There's Leandro Trossard, there's Reece Nelson on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then these are two players who were fit for most part of last season. Trossard came to us in winter. Nelson's been with us pretty much throughout the season and been on the bench, coming in as an impact player. Now, ESR missed most of last season, and he's now a fit and firing ESR. Now, when I have two players already in front of him in Reece Nelson and Leandro Trossard, ESR normally falls back in line. I can't just prioritize, I need to give ESR minutes when I have two other players who have been warming the bench for a much longer time.
Of course, I'm not talking about ESR. Again,
right?
I'm telling you about the player minutes, not about a particular player. I took ESR as an example. Like when you're talking about Eddie Nketiah needing to be the starting striker, why a lot of people don't get behind, including me, I don't get behind that idea, is because Eddie Nketiah hasn't shown me on the pitch. Like when he has come on as substitute, he hasn't shown me enough to give me that confidence that he could become that. Right? The same way, like Nelson has not come on enough on the pitch for me to go ahead and say like, okay, now bench Martinelli and start Nelson, because I don't see that quality yet, because I have not seen him play enough to go to that situation, because I'm thinking still Martinelli is a better player than Nelson. So Martinelli gets a start and Nelson can come in as a subs. And when he makes the impact, then Nelson would get a start.
So you have a favorite player there?
No,
Martinelli over Nelson.
I'm for me right now, yes, because he has given more to me or to my team than Nelson has given. And Nelson was not given an opportunity to give that. My problem
is, as a fan, you're allowed to have a favorite player, but as a manager, he is not allowed to have his preferred 11.
I'm not getting millions of dollars to put my team there. If I am, I would not have that.
All the more reason why Arteta would probably take that job a lot
You
seriously.
see, you could have a favorite player. The problem is that there should be fairness in giving others the chance, and I feel there is no fairness in giving others the chance.
I don't think this is a business at the end of the day, and fairness goes out the window the moment you
No,
start the word
okay,
we.
so okay. Even if it's a business, do you think Nelson should start ahead of Martinelli?
Based on Martinelli's current form, yes.
That's how.
What do you mean how? Based on Martinelli's current form,
How do you
he's
feel? How do you? Yes, Martinelli has not had a great form, but to counteract that, Nelson has not shown us anything. What has Nelson
no,
shown for
nothing.
me? Then how can you say Nelson should start ahead of
So
Martinelli?
who else is the other person? Leandro Trossard.
No, I'm
Leandro
not.
Trossard.
No, I'm just comparing just these two players based on performance. Who starts ahead of who? Does Martinelli start ahead of Nelson, or Nelson starts ahead of Martinelli?
Quantify performance. Are we talking last 3 games? Are we talking all the season 2020-23? Are we talking last 3 seasons together?
You should be talking about the player in their time at Arsenal.
That's not how it would work, though.
Why?
Mo Elneny been at Arsenal for so long. He's
Yes.
probably had some really good moments, some very shitty moments.
Yes.
But when there is no midfielder available, Mo Elneny has to start.
But Mo Elneny has been here for a long time, right? But do you put Mo Elneny ahead of Rice?
When Rice is fit, no.
No, till now, till this point in Rice's career, who has been with us for less than half a season, do you
So
think Rice's career with Arsenal is worse than Mo Elneny's long career with Arsenal?
that's not even you're arguing my point. I feel like
No.
we can't just do it based on the entirety of an Arsenal career. We have to look at it.
Okay,
Form is short term.
okay,
Class is permanent. Form is
okay.
temporary.
Okay, so form. Let's take form. Martinelli versus Nelson. Who is in form right now?
Martinelli versus Nelson. Neither of them are in form. Seemingly.
Exactly. So how do you decide who gets the nod ahead? If if both forms are not like something that is going to demarcate, who do you decide? How do you decide?
So my decision then comes down to Martinelli looks like a player who's short on confidence. A break would do him a world of good.
Okay.
Not just that, a break would also try to motivate him that his position is not guaranteed in the team. So then I look at who is the natural option to replace
Then you are
Martinelli.
not talking about meritocracy. You're talking about like just making a decision based on other factors. Like you are talking about
this is not socialism. We are talking about a team putting the best team forward to win.
Yes, and that's not the best team forward. You're avoiding putting a player who is like you're not putting a best player there. You're not putting Nelson because he's the better player over Martinelli. You're putting Nelson over there because Martinelli is not playing his best.
Exactly. So comparatively, right now, Nelson is better for me because
How?
Martinelli is a negative output.
But Nelson hasn't shown you any output for you to decide that.
-1 is worse than 0.
There is no 0. How do you define that Nelson is a 0?
Because
I have not seen enough. I have not seen enough of Nelson.
So when a season starts, every team starts at 0. Then you see the goal difference go up, go down. Goal difference positive is more goals scored. Goal difference negative is more goals conceded. So that is the exact analogy I'm using here. Martinelli right now form is a negative. It's in Nelson, for lack of playing time, his form is a 0. I don't have anything to gauge him against. So when Nelson comes in, when he plays, he'll tell me if his form is positive, if he's impacting the team positively, or if he's worse than Martinelli. Then the conundrum goes back to, okay, then do you bring Martinelli back? Do you bring Trossard back, or Trossard to fill that void? These are the decisions that the manager makes, not the fact that, oh, I feel like Martinelli has gotten 11 starts. Now ESR should get the 12th start and not Martinelli again.
I'm not
because I'm boiling the ocean here, but you get my point.
I don't agree to it, and I think like the viewers need to come in and talk about this a little bit, because I think that is completely wrong in the way how things are done, and I think Aditya has to be taking the blame for not using the subs properly. But yeah, of course, the viewers can add those in the comments and stuff. I think there's one more thing that we could talk about, but I think that we can talk about our data in the next episode, with the players discussion, where we would talk more, because we did have a lot of player discussion in this, so we would move that to the player discussion. So thanks, Arvind. Thanks for joining in.
All right.
This has been great. Let's continue the series soon.
Sounds good.